Hello and welcome, and thank you for watching this recording of our IPVideoTalk Room Systems live demo. My name is Brian Van Meter. I'm part of the IPVideoTalk team here at Grand Stream Networks and also our community marketing specialist. So basically today we're going to be going ahead and going over IPVideoTalk Room Systems. So essentially we just have a quick presentation to go over, followed by we'll show sort of the admin panel and user interface of IPVideoTalk as well. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and just get right into it. All right. So IPVideoTalk Room Systems, really just allows you to take your conference room into a virtual collaboration space. So the solution is two-part. One part is our GVC 3200 series of HD video conferencing device. That's the actual video conferencing physical device that you would put in your meeting space, huddle room, or conference room, and then of course IPVideoTalk Room Systems. So let's go over the first part of the puzzle here. The GVC 3200 series video conferencing system. So essentially this device combines the power of SIP and the expandability of a cloud platform that is IPVideoTalk and the unrivaled flexibility of an Android operating system. The GVC 3200 series really gives easy installation. Like I said, it has an open standard SIP system. Really easy to use. It's very much just a plug-and-play solution. It's not like your typical video conferencing, local video conferencing solution that requires complicated servers, MCUs, etc. Really is just easy to plug in and get moving with it. It has easy interoperability with communication with third-party video conferencing platforms and, of course, Android apps. And, of course, it has some advanced video support. Just some examples: 1080p Full HD video, up to 3 monitors, pan-tilt zoom with 9x or 12x zoom, depending on model, which we'll go ahead and get into real quick. So there's two models. The first is the GVC 3200 series, which is, like I said, has an Android 4.4 base, support for Skype, Google Hangouts, IPVideoTalk, SIP video calling, and more. Like I said, has that built-in MCU for a 4-way 1080p video conference, 5-way 720p, and 9-way VGA. So that's just it by itself, not including IPVideoTalk. It has advanced remote controlled pan-tilt zoom camera, wide-angle lens, 12x optical zoom, and just some other extra features. Has that gigabit network port, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.0, 3 HDMI output ports for 3 screen view and screen sharing, and it also includes a Bluetooth-based remote control and the GAC video audio conferencing phone, that you can see on the lower left side there, and of course a mounting kit as well. The second device in the series is the GVC 3202, a little bit less feature-packed, but still comes fully loaded for video conferencing. This option is definitely much better, trying to integrate video conferencing into their business. So like I said, it has that Android 4.4 base operating support, a lot of the same capabilities as the 3200, but the built-in MCU gives up to a 2-way 1080p video conference and a 3-way 720p VGA. It has that advanced remote-controlled pan-tilt zoom camera, though, wide-angle lens, only 9x optical zoom. It has only 1 gigabit port, Bluetooth 4.0 still supported. You will notice that this one does not have Wi-Fi, and it has 2 HDMI output ports for 2 screen view and screen sharing, but this still includes that Bluetooth-based remote control, GAC 2500 audio conferencing phone, and of course the mounting kit. All right, so let's get back. Let's get to what makes the solution really happen. IPVideoTalk Room Systems. So it really essentially allows you to bring your conference room to anyone at any time. You can join through when you host a meeting, anyone can join through either a GVC 3200 video conferencing system, internet browser, or the IPVideoTalk app. Just to include some features that it has, to name a few, has one-click meetings, screen sharing, cloud recording, HD video, Q&A feature, and more, and of course both meeting and webinar functionalities. So once IPVideoTalk Room Systems is loaded onto the GVC and fully set up, you will essentially can just take your GVC and push it into the cloud, and can have many people join. It really pushes out the capabilities of the GVC. Like I said, with the 3202 or the 3200, it has either that 9-way or 3-way video conference limitation. But when you bring in IPVideoTalk Room Systems, literally anyone can join up to 150. Really depends on the plan, which we'll get into in a second here. So yeah, to go over the plans, as you can see, the small business, we have 8 participants all the way up to IPVideoTalk Plus, which will allow up to 100 participants to be able to join you in your virtual collaboration space. If you're looking for more information on that, go ahead and go to IPVideoTalk.com, our pricing page, and click on the Room Systems tab. You can find more information, along with being able to chat with any of our chat representatives. They're very helpful. So if you have any questions after watching this, feel free to go there and check it out. Registering your GVC to IPVideoTalk as well is super easy. Once you go ahead and sign in, create an account using IPVideoTalk, there's 2 ways you can do it. Either using a MAC address, which that's used when you're actually creating an IPVideoTalk account. All you need to do is locate that MAC address, enter the MAC address on the registration page, and improve activation on the GVC's IPVideoTalk app, which comes preloaded on every GVC. For the activation code, this is used via your IPVideoTalk portal. So let's say you already have an IPVideoTalk account. Let's say you're using our web meetings version and you got a GVC and you want to bring it into your IPVideoTalk account so you can really take advantage of that. All you'd have to do is locate your GVC IPVideoTalk application that's loaded on the GVC and obtain a device code. You enter the code into the link device section of the IPVideoTalk portal. One important thing to mention, you cannot buy a plan for IPVideoTalk Room Systems until you've linked a GVC to your account as well. So just to mention a quick few host controls via the GVC 3200. You can add or remove attendees. You can go ahead and access your meeting recording features, either local or cloud recording. You can start and stop at any time. You can allow and disable attendee video and attendee video and audio controls, all from the GVC itself. Has that screen sharing. You can hold the conference or the meeting or the webinar and access those meeting details and network information. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the IPVideoTalk portal. So if you go to IPVideoTalk.com here, so once you go ahead and create an account, this is where you go ahead and go to sign in. So let's just go ahead and enter that in real quick. So this is the IPVideoTalk web portal. This is where you go ahead and access all of your meetings, recordings, contacts, devices, everything that has to do with IPVideoTalk other than, of course, being in an actual meeting is all here. So we'll just go ahead and get started and jump right into it. So on the meetings tab, this is definitely the one that you use the most often. Here you can see you have the Meet Now option and the Schedule Meeting option. The Meet Now option would begin a meeting right away. So when you have your IPVideoTalk Room Systems registered to your device, you would just be able to go ahead and access that here on the plan. You could adjust the subject, password, and invitees here as well, and can go ahead and add frequent contacts, and I'll go a little bit more into that later. But once you hit Meet Now, that would instantly start a meeting on the GVC device and really just instantly begin that virtual collaboration and start that IPVideoTalk meeting that you can invite people into. So on schedule meeting, though, you see that we have 2 options here, the meeting option and the webinar option. It's good to mention that you can only do an IPVideoTalk room system. You can only do an IPVideoTalk webinar through scheduling. The Meet Now option only starts a meeting. So let's go a little bit more into the details on the meetings here. So when scheduling a meeting, you have a lot more options. Obviously you have all that information from the plan, subject, organizer, time zone you could start to the start time, duration. But there's also additional information, such as if you want it to be a reoccurring meeting. This is definitely really useful for those who have spread out sales departments, logistical departments, even accounting, marketing teams, for example. Here at Grand Stream, we have weekly marketing meetings that we have set to be reoccurring. Real easy way to just do that and simply have that sort of conference space meetings started time and time again every week. Just moving on, you can also include a password description and an agenda that would be essentially available to everyone who registers and attends the meeting. When it comes to the server location, you definitely want to just set this to be closest to your greatest amount of attendees. So for example, since we're going to say this hypothetical meeting is in the United States, we have that set as Miami. Along with being able to adjust attendee controls here. So muted by the host on entry if you want whoever attends to instantly be muted. If you want to allow chat or not, automatic recording, so that goes straight to the cloud. Display attendee list and status here. This allows attendees to be able to see other attendees and their status. Playing a beep when an attendee joins and leaves the meeting. I usually personally suggest leaving this off. It can get kind of distracting. However, definitely if it's critical that you know when people come or go, definitely leave that on. And of course here you'd be able to go ahead and add those invitees. You may see at the top we have email settings. You can basically go ahead and set up email reminders to go out. Basically you can set them up to go minutes, hours, days. You can adjust this, so if we want multiple ones to be days, have this go out 3 days. Just a really useful way to be able to remind people that the meeting's happening. So once you're ready to schedule a meeting, you go ahead and just click the schedule button and it would be prepared. Check out the webinar section here. This gives this has a little bit more options available. So as you can see, we have a lot of the same options here. Subject, so let's just say sales webinar. Then we have start time. Let's just adjust this here. If we want recurring, password, description, agenda, all that's the same. But you will notice there's a Q&A functionality here as well, and I'll go into that a little bit more once I actually show you the user interface. Additionally, we have here our panelists that we can add. So when you're having a webinar, you also have the option to add panelists. Panelists are essentially, basically think of them like co-hosts. They have the availability to share their presentations, share their audio, share their video. However, they don't have that full host control, like being able to adjust the meeting, sort of kick or add attendees, things like that. But you can go ahead and add them here. For participant registration, you can make it so that all participants have to register for the webinar, which is definitely really useful if you want to be able to send information out to participants prior to them actually joining the webinar. And you can have that process be automatically approved or manually approved if you want to make sure only people that you want to go into the webinar will be there, along with having notifications being able to send to the host when someone registers. So when it comes to that registration, you can actually set up your custom registration page here. Pretty cool. You can go ahead and change this banner here. You can give you this the size, and everything that you see here is actually controlled and adjusted by the information that you enter in basic info. So for example, we'll say this is a description, our meeting, and sales tactics. So as you can see, I changed the description and the agenda, and that's actually reflected here in the registration page. So when you send a registration URL, which you have once you do schedule that email or schedule, that webinar, people will essentially be sent to this registration page, and this is what they would see. You can always go ahead and click preview just to see preview of that registration page as well. For email settings, we have just a little bit more here. You'll notice that we have that email reminders available. We also have a thank you and a missed you email. The thank you email goes out to all attendees, and you can go ahead and adjust this after the meeting. And the missed you goes to everyone who registered but wasn't able to make it to the meeting. So definitely really useful if you want to maybe include a link to a recording or include a link to different materials or anything like that. You can always preview the email too and see what it's going to look like. really useful there. So yeah, once you have everything ready, you go ahead and click schedule. All right, so you'll see on our upcoming page here, here is our upcoming meeting. You have all the basic information such as the date and time that's going to be held at, along with having that registration URL. So this is what you want to go ahead and send to your registrants, to your attendees for the webinar that want to attend, and then that meeting URL. And keep in mind when you host a meeting as well, schedule a meeting, that registration page is not available just because it is a meeting rather than a webinar. So this is only a feature available for webinars. All right. So if you click into it, it actually opens up and you have a little bit more information. Here you'd be able to go ahead and download that registrant list, along with being able to see more information on the webinar itself, from the attendee controls that we enabled, to the plan. So like I said, the plan would always be adjusted to be the device, the GBC device for the room system. Along with being able to see those email reminders, thank you reminders, emails, excuse me. Along with you would be able to see a timeline of registration here as well. Then of course right here you'd be able to go ahead and download those registrants. And it's also being able to see invitees and registrants, but obviously we cannot see any because I just made that little dummy webinar here. Then we also on the meetings tab have our history tab, so here we'd be able to go ahead and see all the information on our past webinars and meetings. All right, so from here you'd be able to click into the meeting details. You can see all the details of the meeting that already occurred, from the participants, invitees, any registrants would be available here if it was a webinar instead, along with being able to download a PDF about the meeting details, the chat contents, the participants list. If it was a webinar, the registrants list would also be available here. Moving right around the top, we then have our recordings. To access your recordings, all you need to do is mouse over them and click download or delete. As long as you can also mass delete multiple ones. If you want to see a little bit more details, you can click into them. If there were multiple recording sessions, so let's say the recording was start and stop and start and stop for some reason during the meeting or webinar, you'd be able to click into the actual webinar here and see those individual recordings if maybe you just want to download individual ones. So moving along, we have our contacts, so that's all available here. We can go ahead and add business contacts, import and export them. So if your business uses a CRM or anything like that, you'd be able to fully utilize that here. For devices, when you do have devices linked to the account, that's where you will go ahead and be able to see them for that room system. To link your GBC device, you just go ahead and click there. This is where you will put in that device code that I was talking to about, and you can go ahead and give the device an alias. So let's say, for example, use this particular, you have two conference rooms that have GBCs, so you could just say this is conference 1, conference room 1, and basically that way when anyone is starting that meeting utilizing the GBC and IPVideoTalk Room Systems, making that virtual collaboration space, they'd be able to tell the difference between the two GBCs and know which one that they're utilizing. So here as well is where you'd be able to go ahead and add plans, buy plans as well for your GBC device. Like I said, just be sure that you have a device linked before you actually try and buy the plan, otherwise it will not work. And like I said, if you want more information about the IPVideoTalk Room System plans, go ahead and go to that pricing page on IPVideoTalk.com. And our last tab here is our statistics. This will give you information about how the IPVideoTalk account is being used, how often it is, how you're utilizing it as well. Definitely all good information to know. On the right side here, just to go through a few more things, we have our admin center. So if you want to go ahead and add an admin to the account, this basically, you can give someone the availability to utilize your account, the IPVideoTalk accounts. Let's say you definitely want to give multiple people access to the IPVideoTalk account to be able to use your IPVideoTalk room system and the GBC device. You can do that here, and you can definitely go ahead and limit them to being able to use certain things. So if you don't want to give them full control of the account, you can just say they only have the availability to access the meetings and the recordings. Then you go ahead and just add their name and the email, and I'll send an email to them to get them all set up for IPVideoTalk, and they'll be able to sign into this portal and begin utilizing and collaborating. Let's see here. We also have settings. Just a quick thing I want to touch on in here. Meet Now template. So if you recall, that Meet Now button didn't have too much availability. It really was just gave you the availability to just real quickly start an IPVideoTalk meeting on your GBC device. Here you'd be able to go ahead and adjust more information. So we could have the plan default instead of the web personal plan. Here we'd have a default, to that GBC plan, IPVideoTalk plan, to that IPVideoTalk room system plan. Have a default the subject, our organizer, the time zone, duration, password, and of course those meeting settings here. All right. So let's just go ahead and take a quick look here at the availability. So this is what the host sees on the host side here during any meeting. So basically you'll see here, I'm currently sharing my screen, But yeah, just to go over the user interface here, here's where you'd be able to end or exit that meeting. You can also access network information here as well, and kind of open this up so you'd be able to see audio, video, and presentation loss on the upload or download. This is just simple volume control. To click to unmute or mute your mic, you can go ahead and do that here, along with being able to share your webcam, and of course share your screen, which is what I'm currently doing. You also can adjust and sort of have more of those meeting or webinar controls here, from being able to invite participants, record this meeting. We actually have the availability for you to stream live to Facebook or YouTube, so if you have a big social media presence, this is definitely very useful. From being able to mute all attendees and participants, unmute everyone, lower everyone's hand. There's a hand raise feature for, let's say, a participant wants to be able to say something. That way you can unmute them or they can give input. Along with being able to mute attendees on entry, allow all to view attendee list, and disable chat, those sort of webinar options that you recall earlier. We have those available here. Here's a Q&A feature as well. So if someone asks a question using the Q&A feature, you'd be able to actually answer it here. It's definitely really useful, along with being able to ask questions to your participants or panelists. So keep in mind too, all panelists can answer the Q&A features. All panelists can answer Q&As. Along with being able to, you can go ahead and prohibit all participants to send questions as well. So moving along here on the right side, we also have our audio settings can be adjusted here, along with being able to access meeting information, which can be useful. Here's that meeting URL, so if someone hasn't joined yet and you need to get them in, you can go ahead and send this to them. You can also control our attendees here, from being able to mute everyone, unmute, lower all hands, allow all view attendee list, and invite participants here as well. So you'll notice as the host, I have the availability to pretty much affect everyone. So my GBC right now is not currently sharing, but if I did want it to, I could go ahead and require webcam sharing here. Require that here. For our panelists that we have set up, set myself as a panelist, I can go ahead and adjust this here. I can unmute or remove myself. And here's a little bit of our participants here. I can set them as panelists, remove them, and mute them. For the chat side here, we definitely have that fully functional chat, and you can actually also chat directly, maybe to panelists only. You can chat directly to participants, or dummy participant here, John, and then of course, directly to anyone else and everyone. On the host side here, via the web portal, web UI here, You also have the availability to disable the chat for everyone, as long as being able to clear that chat history. Conclude our demo of IPVideoTalk Room Systems. And there we go, now I'm back. So yeah, like I said, just to wrap it up, it really gives you that availability to take that conference room and push it to a virtual collaboration space that anyone can join from laptops, IPVideoTalk app. Really gives you the availability to just add more people and really push the capabilities, of your collaboration and meetings to the next level. Using both the GVC and IPVideoTalk Room Systems, of course. If you have more questions, please feel free to go to IPVideoTalk.com.